All righty. Good morning. How are you doing, Ryan? Good to
Hi,
see
Amy. Good to
you.
see you as well.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. And I am really delighted we're here now that we are really starting to step all into college admissions,
Yes.
consulting, college essay writing, and all of the fun things. So
Yes.
yes. So today, what I thought would be really great is for us to talk about, a combination of college admissions, college
Mhm.
consulting, and of course, college essay.
Yes. Very
And
big topic.
and what I'd really like to do is to touch on, just a couple of different perspectives. And I thought
Sure.
you could lend some excellent insight here when we're talking about college admissions essays,
Mhm.
when we're talking about college planning. And I know you do college planning for, eighth grade, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and now we're talking about rising
Mm.
seniors,
Yes.
really, I don't know if today, if we have to get into the minutia of like writing technique, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
yeah, but as far as my first question that I'm getting from so many students, of course, and I know you are too, is what should I write about? And
Mhm.
here's the golden one. And this is what I'm just so eager, and I know I'm gonna like type up notes for what you're saying. What do the colleges want to hear?
Sure.
And so why don't we start off there? I mean, what is it from your point of view? And give us like where you're coming from. Like your point of view is different than mine. Like if I'm a
Definitely.
student, like Mr. Clark or Ryan, what do the colleges want to hear in these essays? Like what would you say?
Yeah, I always go back to some training I had many, many years ago, and
Yes.
the two questions that the colleges always ask, from my point of view, is what happened and why does it matter? So, what happened?
Right.
The story, right? What are you writing about? And why does it matter? Meaning, what personal positive characteristics are you trying to highlight in this story?
Very good.
And that's, essentially the theme of the essay, right?
Right. But I mean, along those lines though, like I get that, but what if they look at you like a deer at headlights, like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm a hard worker. I'm getting that a lot. And
Sure.
I'll say
Right.
to students like, well, pretty much everyone you're competing with for these spots is a hard worker.
Sure.
Some are
Sure.
not, right?
Right.
But how do we even take a step back from that? Like, what happened? Why is it important? I mean, what is it from, like, let's say you were talking to like the colleges, and I know you are strongly connected to just being a college
Mhm.
consultant. Like, are they, this, my students are always like, what are they looking for? Like that.
Yeah. So I always go back to those questions of what, who, why, how, right? Answer those questions like, what's the
Yes.
purpose of the essay, right? The purpose of the essay is to showcase who you are, if you're a good writer, to see if you're a good fit for the college, right? But also to showcase something that they don't already know about you or
Mm,
the student
mm,
in the application, right?
mhm,
So they
mhm,
they know the grades, they know the standardized test score, they know class rank, they know your resume, right?
mhm,
So you don't
mhm,
need to write about that.
mhm,
You
mhm.
you need to express something else other in
Yes.
your essay, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's kind of the what is the essay, right?
Right. Right. So here,
Mhm.
so when you're thinking of your students, maybe like from last year or even maybe so far for this year, I mean, can you think of, because I know kids and people love stories, can you think of any stories you've had where at first the students were like, "Oh, Mr. Clark, I just don't know what to tell them," and some stories that really blossomed and came to fruition where they did reveal like some wonderful aspects of a student's personality? I mean, can you think of anything off the top of your head, like over the past couple of years?
Yeah, we've had these, obviously we've been doing this for a long time. And so we've had this discussion a lot. I mean, we've talked about it. Really, the story isn't that big of a deal. Like I tell my students, it doesn't have to be this earth shattering events or this big time in their life where it had a significant change. It could be really something very insignificant, right?
Right, but what example can you think of? I mean, I know I'm
Sure.
putting you on the, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right off the top of my head, I can think of a young lady that went to Wake Forest, and she wrote about she was a big Harry Potter fan, and she would go online to the Harry Potter website, and she'd put in her name and the hat, whatever the hat is called, that tells them
Right,
which
yeah.
group to go into, and I forgot the
Yes.
name of it now.
Yes.
she would always get put into the wrong group. If you
Right.
know what I mean,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah.
And so, and she wrote about that experience, and it turned out to be a fantastic essay because it talked about her personal characteristics that she wanted to
Right.
showcase, right?
Wait,
So
did she talk about, like, in her life, how she was always put into, like, the wrong categories?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of, absolutely, kind of put
Yeah.
in the wrong
Yeah.
categories, exactly. So that was
Yeah.
exactly what kind of the meaning of the
Oh,
essay
that's so
was,
cool.
and how
That's
she,
so cool.
overcame that
Yeah.
and what she learned from that.
Right.
And so it was a really, really good essay.
Right.
And so, as you know, it's again, it's not necessarily the story itself; it's just the story showcasing those
Right.
characteristics. Yeah,
Right. Right. No, and I know that, and it just seems
yeah,
like now, and probably for both of us for, like, the next month, like, that makes sense, but it's just crossing that line for students
hmm
to get there, and so that's a great example. Can you think I have one off. I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I have found that with writing, when you can think of specific examples, it
sure,
helps the kids. So for example, I had a student years ago, great athlete, actually like ice hockey player, and he knew that the colleges, like you said, would see, 4 years of club and varsity ice hockey.
right,
But he wrote his essay about riding his bike
mm,
through his neighborhood and noticing, and the student is also now majoring in environmental engineering,
mm, interesting,
and noticing just the different kinds of trees, and even like how tree roots would cause bumps in the sidewalk, so he had to be careful when he was riding his bike, and shade versus where things are. And so I think for kids to hear these everyday examples,
right,
that helps them that helps them cross the line. So
sure,
really, to summarize, you're saying it's, the colleges want to know more about your personality
yeah,
other than what they can already derive.
yeah. They want to know something else other than what they can already see on the
Right,
application, and what makes your son and daughter tick, right, and
right.
what motivates them, and showcasing those positive characteristics. And we all
Yeah,
know every student doesn't have the same positive characteristics, but what does your son or your daughter want to showcase? And that's
right,
the hardest part, I think, sometimes, is helping
right,
them figure out what is
right.
those positive characteristics. Now,
I
sometimes it's
think
pretty,
so. Yeah,
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 sometimes it's pretty easy, right? If you're working with, let's say, a
yeah,
student has like a learning disability, they can
right.
easily write about that and
Yeah,
talk about overcoming challenges, and
yes,
right, and what they learned about themselves, and so on and so forth. But
yes,
if it's just like an average student, or it's not involved in a lot of different activities, sometimes it's a little difficult, but they also have those wonderful characteristics that we want to showcase.
yes, yes. I think so. I mean, I think it's interesting also. It's like once you identify those characteristics and those strengths, I mean, that's great. Like
Mhm.
a lot of people have this neat job, like, they're actually like strengths finder consultants,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
I mean, they're different, like personality, like
Sure, yeah.
Myers-Briggs,
Mhm.
but it can be tricky then. It's one thing to get those,
Right.
and kids are like, oh yeah, I actually never thought about myself like that, but it's
Mhm.
so true. Like that's super fun. I just think then the next leap, and so the question is, how is it that that students then, from your point of view, take that next leap into creating a story?
Yeah, that's where the brainstorming is, right? So you got to think, all right, so you have these characteristics. Give me a time in your life where you showcase those stories, right?
Right.
Was it when
Right.
you were at band camp, or when you were
Very
volunteering,
good.
or
Yes.
when you were at work? Well, let's talk about that. Tell me about it.
Right.
Write
Right.
about
Right.
that,
Right. Right.
right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, and if you think of, as we talk here today, if you think of any unique but simple stories, like riding your bike, right?
Mhm.
Um, let me know, and I'll drop those in the comments here. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Not to cut you off there, I was
yeah.
just remembering. I was over the summer earlier this year. I was just writing an essay, college essay for myself, just to kind of get back into the
Oh,
groove of that. And I wrote about an experience at my college, at the academy, where I was there for 2 weeks, and I was taken out and said I had to go see the commandant of midshipmen. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
I was a plebe at the time. And I was like, what in the world? Why are they pulling
yeah.
me out to go see the commandant? And I walked into this office, and this big, palatial, beautiful office, and plush carpet and big oak desk. And there's this older gentleman that had, his uniform, white uniform on with all his
Oh,
medals, and, very intimidating. He goes, Mr. Clark, I see that you're doing well, but also looked at your medical examination. And is it true that you are colorblind? I said, yes, sir, I am colorblind.
oh,
He goes, well, I have two options for you. Number one, you can be an engineer, and that is your only option, or you can quit the academy now and go to a regular college. You have 5 minutes, make your decision.
oh, this is a good story.
That's what I wrote my essay about.
Oh,
Right?
that's
And
fabulous.
so I
Yeah,
try to use that with my students and say, hey, grab their attention and talk
that's
about
great.
it's not about the story, it's about me, right? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to showcase those characteristics.
Right. It's so interesting. It's like to get them to think about, I mean, I just had something interesting happen when I was swimming this morning. And the point here is to help students think of these instances. I'm swimming along. I was swimming with two master swim friends of mine in a different pool because the schedules change in the summer.
Hmm.
And I tell myself, after 45 minutes of swimming, I have trouble if I put my fins on. Like I love swimming with my fins. I'm like finally fast. But I had gotten severe calf cramps.
Oh no.
And today, after 40 minutes, I'm like, oh, I feel great. I'll put my fins on. Well, my friend who I was sharing a lane with was doing the backstroke.
Hmm.
And she ran into me. Now,
Hmm.
it was a very gentle, like, oh, sorry. But my body's reaction, and I'm just trying, this is a great story for kids to think like, when did something enter their lives that like made a big impact? It was still a small moment, but a big impact on their life. My calf, I didn't pull an ACL, but it was almost like my calf cramped up so severely.
Oh.
But you wonder, like for teens, it's like you're bumping along, you're in high school, picture the crowded halls, the bell rang, or you have 30 seconds to get to math class, right? And someone drops their water bottle and it spills out over everything. Or that coach comes and taps you on the shoulder. Like, when are you in? I think this is a great way to help kids. When are you in your everyday routine? Like, here, I'm going to go swim. I knew it wasn't going to be that hard of a workout, more like refreshing to get in early in the morning. But there was like a knee-jerk reaction moment that changed things. That could be, and it could be something really wonderful. It could be something really great. And so I think now, and parents, if you're watching this and you want to help your kids, I think there are special tactics that you can take, special strategies to help kids with different phases of writing the essay.
Right.
Now, I'm always interested, Ryan, in any kind of military experience. I'm fascinated, and this is a nice transition to our next part, our second part here of college admissions and college essay writing.
Okay.
So I'm fascinated by the idea of commitment and discipline. So if you could wave your magic wand with your students, and they have, these are for your rising seniors, and they have time on their sides now for anything from college essay to activity list to Common App list, what advice could you give them as a military person as far as commitment and discipline? And then I'm going to chime in with like the essay writing part of it. What advice? I know you're laughing because I did say wave your magic wand.
Yes. And if I could wave my magic wand, I'd point it to my son and daughter first.
Oh, yes.
to give them the commitment, the discipline as well. But, somehow that just did not translate, or they did not get that gene from me.
Not yet. Just not yet.
Not yet. Not one of these days.
Right.
Maybe it's a learned trait, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I think students, every one of my students always talks about how the essay is such a huge time suck. It's a huge time commitment, as you know. And I would say if they could start at least thinking about what they want to write about right now, over the summer, it's going to save themselves so much time and heartache and frustration when school starts. And even better, if they can start writing This is the time
Okay,
to do it.
right. I know that. I know, but pretend this is like military college essay writing.
Sure.
Like, what would you do? And your kids are included. They have to listen to you. Like really bring it. Like, what did you have to do in basic training? Like, how could you bring that into college essay writing so that when it's the end of September, when we're looking at mid-October, beginning of November, early action due dates,
Right.
your kids are like, I've got this. Like, this is the last thing I'm worrying about. Like, what would they be doing every day, every week?
Sure. So when I was writing my first book, um, one of the first things I learned from different authors, they said, you know what, you need to write every day. You know, you just got to get up and
Yes,
you have to write. You
yes,
just, even if you
yes.
have a bad day, even if you don't want to write, even if you are just worn out, just get in the habit of writing. And if you can do that, everything else will fall into place.
Okay, so that's gold. That's gold because pros do it anyway, right? And if
Right.
you're committed to this, you're going to write anyway. And that is exactly, I promise, and people are going to be watching this on the replay. I promise I did not like type for Ryan to say that. I think that's the trick. It's committing. It's
Hmm.
committing to writing these essays. It's committing to writing a fabulous activities list. It's committing to have a plan for your supplemental essays. And then, just like practice for soccer,
Right.
swim, lacrosse, going to theater, going to your job, it's doing it, it's writing, even if you don't feel like it.
Right.
It's, yeah.
Right.
And, and these will get done. So I know tonight I'm having my second like college essay group coaching. And it's going to be all about, yes, topic selection, yes, exercises on how to get there, of course.
Hmm.
But wherever you are with these beginning stages of your college applications and essay writing,
Right.
you will find success if you commit, if you're disciplined, and if you're consistent. Done.
I agree. I agree. That's the key to life in general. Like you said, whether it's work or whether it's a sport, you know, you always see the same pattern, right? It's that commitment.
Right. But
Um,
I mean, but here's the thing though. I feel like with the essays, and I know some kids will they have amazing test scores, straight A's, band, all the things, and they're applying to schools where the college will just glance over the essay.
because everyone has this is in the same category. Yeah.
And they have these fabulous numbers.
Yeah. They don't stand out. Right.
But for the kids where these essays are going to really make a difference, but possibly between maybe and yes, or maybe and no. As opposed to like these standardized tests where you can study and for sure improve, get to know the questions. I always question like really how much can you improve your reading comp in like 6 weeks as
Right.
opposed to like the past 12 years. But the reason I like doing this so much is because no matter what level your writing is, this is something with your college admissions, your college acceptance, your college application that kids can actually have control over, don't you think?
Hmm.
It's the writing.
Yep. We have writing, and of course, I went to a HECA conference, which is a college admissions counselor
Oh,
conference
yeah.
not too long ago, and we were
Yeah.
talking about, and this is another discussion we can have at another live, the use of AI and how colleges are using AI and how students are
Yes.
using AI. And
Yes.
yeah, so that's a whole nother dynamic.
That is really interesting, Ryan. We should absolutely talk about that. I think that'd be a big Facebook Live that's streamed. This is streamed to LinkedIn and to YouTube also. And that's a great question. To what extent can you use AI for your college admissions essay writing?
Yeah,
And I feel like I'm caught in the middle of it with, the other service we offer is like monthly writing tutoring,
sure.
right? Like the writing for, getting good grades in English class and brushing. And so many of the high schools are saying, like, you use Chat GPT and you're out of here. You're going to be expelled. But colleges are saying, like, technology's not going away. And why not spend 15 seconds with an outline and then you can add your personal voice and then you can bring your unique.
Yep, very interesting. Yeah, there's lots of discussions going around in higher education on
Yeah,
how to use AI, how to do it
right,
the right way,
right.
and we're gonna see some big changes over the next few years when it comes to college admissions.
I think so. And this is a great topic because I've even heard some colleges saying that they are going to want kids to, like, they will be monitored and proctored when they're doing any kind of writing portion of it.
Yeah, that's a discussion on if they wanna do that or not. Yeah,
Right.
right,
If they want to do that, I mean, that's a lot of tech. That's a lot of, right. And
right.
will it really help? Right.
No,
So,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think this has been fabulous. I just really wanted to touch today on where our students are. And it's
Mhm.
the beginning phases, it's the planning phases of the college essay writing. It's thank you from your point of view, like, what do the colleges want to hear? What should I write about?
Sure.
And then where I'm really trying to help my students right now beyond that is bringing this idea of commitment and
Mhm.
discipline
Mm, smart.
into, well, you said it, I mean, you're a published author. Do
Right,
you love to write? No. I mean,
right.
were you a writer? No. But in order to get that done, I think that's super inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's true, right?
It's
Like, I
true.
think when we hear stories, like, I could always swim for fun, but I certainly couldn't compete. I mean, I could never imagine swimming for an hour and 15 minutes like
Right.
6 years ago. But it's showing up, jumping in the pool, and it's the same thing, students, for you and your essay writing. So thank you so much for joining me. And will you please tell our audience the best place, the easiest way they can reach out to you?
Sure, the best way is just the website, clarkcollegeconsulting.com,
Awesome.
and, yeah, you can reach me there.
Awesome. Fabulous. And thank you for joining me. Is there one last, I know we've covered a lot, but one
Mm.
last golden nugget you would like to leave our audience with today?
Don't wait. Start early.
Mhm.
Don't
That's
wait.
right. Don't wait. Start early. Yeah, I agree. Don't wait. Start early. And just like Ryan said, if it's 10 minutes, think about that, 10 minutes every day. You've gotten into that habit. And after a week, I mean, you have over an hour of some kind of essay that you
Right.
can get our help with in reviewing and
Mhm.
getting feedback so that you can move forward, be done, and get accepted to your dream college. So thank you so much, Ryan. And
My pleasure.
we will see you soon.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.